Welcome to Headphone News, International Edition for Wednesday, December 11, 2024.
Reliance Industries $3 billion loan plans. Reliance Industries, a major business group in India, is seeking a loan of up to $3 billion to manage its remaining debt. The company currently has about 3.36 trillion Indian rupees in unpaid debt, which is roughly $39.60 billion. This loan is expected to be shared with the market in early 2025, with discussions involving around 6 banks. Mukesh Ambani, the chairman of Reliance, has ambitious plans to double the company's size by the end of the decade, focusing on new developments in artificial intelligence. The current economic conditions in India, particularly the health of the banking sector, are crucial for this refinancing effort. Effectively managing this debt could boost investor trust and support further expansion plans for Reliance Industries.
India's steel production and climate goals. India's plans to boost coal-powered steel production could jeopardize its aim of achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2070, according to a report from Global Energy Monitor. The report warns that funding new coal-based steelmaking might lead to over $187 billion in lost investments. India's steel production capacity is expected to grow from 180 million metric tons to 300 million metric tons by 2030. This increase could result in an additional 680 million metric tons of pollutants equivalent to carbon dioxide. Currently, 85% of the energy used in the steel sector comes from coal, with coal-based blast furnaces accounting for 69% of production capacity. India's emissions per ton of crude steel produced are 2.55 metric tons, significantly higher than the global average of 1.85 metric tons. This situation highlights the conflict between economic growth and environmental sustainability, raising concerns about the long-term impact on climate change efforts.
China's economic growth outlook for 2024. Chinese President Xi Jinping is optimistic about reaching a 5% goal for economic growth in 2024. In a recent speech in Beijing, he emphasized the need for cooperation with the United States, the largest economy in the world, to avoid negative effects from tariffs and trade disputes. This comes as China faces various economic challenges, including trade tensions and the ongoing impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Chinese yuan, or CNY, is currently in focus, with 10,000 Chinese yuan converting to about 1,400 United States dollars. The relationship between China and the U.S. is vital for global economic stability, influencing trade, investment, and market trends. Understanding these developments is essential for grasping their broader implications for businesses and consumers around the world.
Political crisis in South Korea. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law on December 3, 2024, which has led to significant political unrest. An army commander reported that Yoon ordered military action to forcibly remove lawmakers from parliament. This situation has raised concerns about a leadership void and threats to individual rights. Yoon's administration is now facing legal inquiries for rebellion and misuse of authority. Discussions are ongoing within the ruling People Power Party about Yoon's possible resignation and an early election, which could take place as soon as February 2025. According to South Korean law, an election must be held within 60 days if Yoon resigns before his term ends in May 2027. The political unrest could have serious effects on South Korea's economy, potentially shaking public trust and deterring international investment. This situation highlights the challenges of governance in South Korea, a key U.S. ally located on the southern part of the Korean peninsula.
U.S. government approves $6.1 billion for Micron technology. The U.S. Department of Commerce has approved over $6.1 billion in funding for Micron Technology, a leading memory chip manufacturer. This investment will help build semiconductor plants in New York and Idaho, aiming to create at least 20,000 jobs by the end of the decade. Additionally, $275 million will be used to expand Micron's facility in Manassas, Virginia, which focuses on automotive and industrial chips. This effort is part of the U.S. CHIPS and Science Act, designed to boost domestic semiconductor production and reduce reliance on foreign suppliers, especially from China and Taiwan. The government has also provided significant funding to other companies, including $7.86 billion to Intel and $6.6 billion to Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. The focus on domestic manufacturing aims to tackle the global semiconductor shortage and enhance national security. This investment reflects ongoing efforts to strengthen the U.S. economy and create job opportunities in the technology sector.
Strengthening ties between the UK and Cyprus. On December 10, 2024, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer visited Cyprus, an island in the eastern Mediterranean, to enhance efforts against illegal money from Russia. This visit was notable as it was the first by a British Prime Minister since 1971. During their meeting, Starmer and Cypriot President Nikos Christodoulides agreed to work together to create a team focused on enforcing sanctions and to launch educational programs for law enforcement. This partnership aims to align Cyprus more closely with Western policies in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Cyprus is actively working to improve its image as a haven for Russian businesses. This collaboration could lead to increased scrutiny of financial transactions involving Russian entities, which may help stabilize the economic environment in Cyprus. The focus on sanctions reflects a broader commitment to global stability and security.
Indian rupee hits record low amid leadership change. The Indian rupee has fallen to a record low of 84.8575 against the US dollar on December 10, 2024, closing at 84.8525. This slight drop of 0.1% follows the appointment of Sanjay Malhotra as the new governor of the Reserve Bank of India. Traders are reacting to this leadership change, speculating about possible interest rate cuts. The 5-year overnight index swap rate has decreased to 5.97%, indicating a strong likelihood of a small interest rate cut. Analysts suggest there's a good chance of a 25 basis point cut by the Federal Reserve in the upcoming meeting. A weaker rupee raises concerns about inflation and higher import costs, which could impact everyday people and foreign investors. This decline in currency value reflects broader economic uncertainties in India and globally.
Ukraine's pursuit of NATO membership. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is planning to meet with European allies in Kyiv this month to talk about NATO membership and security guarantees. These discussions aim to improve Ukraine's situation amid ongoing Russian attacks. Ihor Zavka, the deputy head of Zelensky's office, highlighted the importance of securing guarantees until NATO membership is achieved. Recent talks about military aid with U.S. President-elect Donald Trump and French President Emmanuel Macron emphasize the urgency of these discussions. Ukraine's goal to join NATO stems from its ongoing conflict with Russia, which escalated with the annexation of Crimea in 2014. Strengthening ties with NATO could enhance security in Eastern Europe, but it might also increase tensions with Russia. This situation has significant implications for global security and international relations, especially between NATO countries and Russia.
Trump's comments on Canada and trade relations. Donald Trump, the president-elect of the United States, recently teased Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, by calling him the governor of the great state of Canada. This remark came after a dinner meeting on November 30, 2024, at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, where they discussed potential tariffs on Canada. Trump claimed that the U.S. supports Canada with over $100 billion each year and Mexico with nearly $300 billion because of trade imbalances. These comments highlight ongoing tensions in U.S.-Canada trade relations. Trump's remarks suggest he wants Canada to become the 51st state, a notion that Trudeau has not embraced. Such comments could put pressure on diplomatic relations and lead to response actions from Canada. Understanding the history of U.S.-Canada trade is crucial, as tariffs can increase prices for consumers and impact businesses that rely on cross-border trade. Recent discussions about tariffs reflect broader economic issues and the potential for significant changes in trade policies.
U.S. labor costs and inflation outlook. U.S. labor expenses increased at an updated yearly rate of 0.8% in the third quarter of 2024, which is a significant drop from the previous rate of 1.9%. This change points to a more positive outlook for rising prices since labor expenses play a key role in determining costs. The U.S. Labor Department also noted a decline in labor expenses for the second quarter, which was initially expected to have gone up. Economists had predicted a downward adjustment to 1.5% for the third quarter. The Federal Reserve, the central bank of the United States, is expected to lower borrowing costs by 0.25% in its next meeting, reflecting changes in monetary policy due to these labor expense trends. Lower labor expenses can boost consumer confidence, leading to increased spending that benefits businesses and the overall economy. This news suggests a stable outlook for inflation, which may encourage investment and growth among companies.
France begins military withdrawal from Chad. France has started to pull its military forces out of Chad, located in north-central Africa. This decision comes after Chad announced on November 28, 2023, that it would end its military partnership with France. The withdrawal began on December 10, 2023, with 2 French military jets departing from the capital, N'Djamena. Around 1,000 French troops remain in Chad, and the final details of the withdrawal are still being worked out. This move marks a significant change in France's long-standing military role in the Sahel region, which faces challenges from militant groups. The decision reflects growing concerns about France's presence in the area and raises questions about Chad's security as it deals with ongoing threats. The effects of this withdrawal could impact France's influence in Africa and the stability of Chad as it navigates its security challenges without French military support.
Edmundo Gonzalez's return to Venezuela. Edmundo Gonzalez, a well-known opposition leader in Venezuela, is set to return from exile in Madrid, Spain, by January 10, 2024. He plans to take on the presidency, claiming he is the rightful winner of a controversial election from July 2023. However, he faces a warrant for his arrest issued by President Nicolas Maduro's government, which has charged him with conspiracy. During the announcement, Maria Corina Machado, his vice presidential pick, joined via video link to highlight the significant challenges ahead. The political climate in Venezuela remains tense, with ongoing financial difficulties and widespread public dissatisfaction. Gonzalez's return could escalate efforts against Maduro, potentially leading to increased unrest. The national currency, the Venezuelan bolivar, is abbreviated as VES, with 10,000 Venezuelan bolívares soberanos converting to about 1.13 USD. This situation is crucial for regional stability, as the outcome may impact international reactions and humanitarian efforts.
Croatia suspends asylum requests for Syrians. Croatia has temporarily halted asylum requests from Syrian citizens following the removal of President Bashar al-Assad after 13 years of civil war. Other European countries, including Germany, Norway, Italy, Austria, the Netherlands, and Switzerland, have made similar decisions. Croatian Interior Minister Davor Bozinovic announced that this suspension will remain in effect until the European Union reaches a decision. This move affects many ongoing asylum requests and represents a major change in immigration policies across Europe. The ongoing crisis in Syria has resulted in millions of refugees, and this situation continues to shape immigration rules on the continent. The implications of this suspension may lead to tighter immigration controls and impact the future of Syrian refugees seeking safety. Understanding these developments is crucial, as they could influence public opinion and political stability within the European Union.
Assassination of Congressman in Veracruz highlights political violence in Mexico. On December 9, 2024, federal Congressman Benito Aguas was assassinated in Veracruz, Mexico. This tragic event underscores the ongoing problem of political violence in the country, where politicians are increasingly becoming targets. Aguas was shot multiple times in Zongolica, and another victim, Agustin Linares, was found dead at the scene. The Veracruz Attorney General's office has confirmed both deaths and is currently conducting investigations. President Claudia Sheinbaum, who took office in October 2024, expressed her sadness over the incident and stressed the urgent need for justice. This assassination is part of a troubling trend in Mexico, where hundreds have died due to violence linked to drug cartels and gang activities. The political climate remains tense, with many politicians facing threats as elections approach. This situation raises serious concerns about public safety and trust in government. Political violence in Mexico has been escalating, highlighted by the murder of a mayor in Guerrero State shortly after taking office, which shows the risks faced by elected officials. The assassination of Aguas reflects broader issues of insecurity and instability in Mexico, affecting the lives of citizens and the political landscape. Currently, the Mexican peso, MXN, is valued at about 5.5 cents in US dollars, meaning that 10,000 pesos is roughly $550.
BIS warns of rising government debt risks. The Bank for International Settlements, or BIS, has raised a red flag about the potential risks to financial markets from soaring government debt. Claudio Borio, who leads BIS's Monetary and Economic Department, is worried that too much government debt could disrupt bond markets and affect other investments. Current estimates suggest that global sovereign debt might hit $130 trillion by 2028. In the U.S., the national debt is expected to grow by $8 trillion, reaching $36 trillion, mainly due to proposed tax cuts. Meanwhile, the new Labour government in the UK has increased its borrowing estimates by £142 billion, which is around $181.55 billion. The yield on the 10-year U.S. Treasury has risen to about 4.22%, indicating some market anxiety. The BIS report stresses the urgent need for policymakers to address these issues to avoid economic harm. Rising debt levels can lead to higher borrowing costs and inflation, impacting consumers and businesses. Since global economies are interconnected, instability in one area can have widespread effects. Immediate action is crucial to manage the risks tied to increasing government debt.
U.S. trade restrictions on Chinese companies. The United States has imposed trade restrictions on two Chinese companies, Zhejiang Uniview Technologies and Beijing Jiangdan Security Technology Group. This action follows claims that these firms are involved in human rights abuses against Uyghurs and other minority groups in China. The announcement was made on December 10, 2024, by the U.S. Commerce Department in Washington, D.C. This decision highlights the ongoing tensions between the U.S. and China regarding human rights and trade. In recent years, the U.S. has targeted several Chinese companies for similar issues, including Hikvision in 2019. These restrictions could lead to closer scrutiny of international business practices and human rights, impacting companies and consumers around the world. Additionally, the U.S. actions may provoke countermeasures from China, further straining diplomatic relations.
Russia's potential recognition of the Taliban government. On December 10, 2024, the Russian parliament, known as the Duma, voted in favor of a law that could lead to recognizing the Taliban government in Afghanistan. This move might remove the Taliban from Russia's list of banned terrorist organizations. Currently, no country officially recognizes the Taliban, which took control of Afghanistan in August 2021 after U.S. forces withdrew, ending a 20-year military presence. President Vladimir Putin has suggested that the Taliban could be an ally in the fight against terrorism, especially after recent attacks in Russia linked to the Islamic State's Afghan affiliate, ISIS-K. One significant incident occurred in March 2024, when a concert hall attack in Moscow resulted in 145 deaths. Historically, Soviet troops invaded Afghanistan in 1979, leading to a long conflict that lasted until 1989, causing many casualties. Recognizing the Taliban could change international relations, particularly regarding security and humanitarian issues. There are ongoing worries about women's rights in Afghanistan, as the Taliban has imposed restrictions on education and movement for women. Russia's actions may also influence U.S. foreign policy and the geopolitical landscape in Central Asia. If the Taliban is recognized, it could legitimize their rule and impact humanitarian aid efforts in the region.
Germany's upcoming snap election. Germany is gearing up for a snap election on February 23, 2024, after Chancellor Olaf Scholz's coalition government collapsed. Recent polls reveal notable shifts in voter support. The Christian Democratic Union, or CDU, is currently leading with 31.5%, followed by the far-right Alternative for Germany, known as AfD, at 19%. The ruling Social Democrats, or SPD, have dropped to third place with 17%. The Greens hold 11.5%, while the leftist Sarah Wagenknecht Alliance, referred to as BSW, has 8%. The Free Democrats, or FDP, and the Left Party are polling at 4.5% and 3%, respectively. The collapse of the coalition is due to conflicts over energy policies and economic strategies, which are critical issues for voters. This election could significantly influence Germany's energy policies, economic recovery, and its role in the European Union. A change in leadership might also lead to shifts in international relations and economic strategies, impacting households and businesses across the country. Understanding these dynamics is crucial as the election approaches.
U.S. sanctions Chinese cybersecurity firm for cyberattack. The United States has placed restrictions on Sichuan Silence Information Technology Company, a cybersecurity firm located in Sichuan, China, due to its involvement in a significant digital attack. This incident, which occurred in April 2020, impacted over 80,000 firewalls around the world and posed a serious threat to critical infrastructure. The U.S. Treasury has stated that the harmful software used in the attack could have resulted in loss of life. An employee named Guan Tianfeng is facing charges related to a plot and online fraud. The FBI is offering a $10 million reward for information that leads to his capture. This situation highlights ongoing concerns about internet security and the increasing tensions between the United States and China. As companies and governments respond to the rising threat of ransomware attacks, we can expect stronger internet security measures. These restrictions may further strain diplomatic relations and lead to closer scrutiny of Chinese technology firms. The consequences of these actions extend beyond immediate security issues, affecting international relations and corporate governance.
Challenges in the cryptocurrency sector. The cryptocurrency sector is facing major challenges as influential figures like Elon Musk and Mark Andreessen express concerns about banks unfairly closing accounts of people involved in cryptocurrencies. This practice, known as debanking, has affected around 30 tech company founders in the last 4 years. Banks are increasingly worried about regulatory pressure and compliance with anti-money laundering laws, which is driving these account closures. In 2023, U.S. federal agencies advised banks to limit their exposure to cryptocurrency activities, leading to heightened scrutiny in the industry. Recent statistics show that the FBI received over 69,000 complaints related to cryptocurrency fraud last year. The issue of debanking has sparked conversations at events like the Bitcoin 2024 conference in Nashville, Tennessee, where Donald Trump stressed the importance of the U.S. becoming a leader in the cryptocurrency space. These developments could result in stricter regulations, which might stifle innovation while trying to protect consumers. Those affected by debanking may look for legal options or support from advocacy groups. This ongoing debate highlights the tension between traditional banking practices and the rapidly growing cryptocurrency industry.
Canada's budget deficit overview. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland discussed the Canadian budget deficit, which is expected to be around 40.1 billion Canadian dollars, or about 29.5 billion United States dollars, for the last fiscal year. Recent estimates indicate that the actual deficit could reach 44 billion Canadian dollars, roughly 32.3 billion United States dollars, exceeding earlier projections. The debt-to-GDP ratio, which compares the country's debt to its economic output, is projected to be 42.1% for the fiscal year 2023-24, highlighting a strong commitment to maintaining sustainable public finances. Concerns are rising about potential U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods, which could negatively affect the economy. The upcoming fall economic statement is expected to provide more insights into the government's financial situation. These fiscal policies are essential for fostering investor confidence and ensuring economic stability in Canada.
Oil and gas industry's demands from Trump administration. The oil and gas industry has laid out a 5-part plan for President-elect Donald Trump. They are asking for quick approval of liquefied natural gas exports, more drilling on federal lands, and easier pipeline approvals. The American Petroleum Institute, a key trade group, highlights the need to roll back strict vehicle emissions and fuel economy rules while keeping corporate tax rates steady. Trump intends to sign executive orders related to energy when he takes office on January 20, 2024. They will also set up a National Energy Council to guide U.S. energy policy, led by North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. The Biden administration had previously paused new LNG export projects to evaluate their environmental effects, resulting in the lowest number of offshore oil and gas leases in U.S. history. More federal leases could boost production, but investment choices will depend on supply and demand in the oil market. These policy changes could drive economic growth in the energy sector, potentially lowering energy prices and creating jobs, while also raising concerns about environmental issues and climate change.
U.S. efforts for Gaza ceasefire. U.S. President Joe Biden is sending aides to the Middle East to negotiate a ceasefire in Gaza. This move comes after a recent truce between Israel and the militant group Hezbollah. The ongoing conflict has led to tragic losses, with around 1,200 people killed in Israel during a Hamas attack on October 7, 2023, and over 44,000 Palestinians reported dead in the continuing Israeli military campaign in Gaza. Diplomatic efforts are focused on reducing violence and helping humanitarian aid reach those in need. The situation remains urgent, with President Biden working hard to achieve peace before President-elect Donald Trump takes office in January 2025. Understanding the humanitarian effects and political importance of Gaza is crucial as these negotiations unfold.
U.S. Treasury provides $20 billion to Ukraine. The U.S. Treasury Department has sent $20 billion to a World Bank fund as part of a $50 billion loan package from the Group of Seven, or G7, nations to help Ukraine during its ongoing conflict with Russia. This transfer fulfills a promise made in October 2024 and matches the European Union's commitment of €20 billion, which is about $21.4 billion. Canada contributed $5 billion, Britain provided £2.258 billion, and Japan added $471.9 billion. These funds are intended to offer crucial economic support to Ukraine, which has faced significant challenges since the Russian invasion began in February 2022. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen oversaw the transfer and highlighted the importance of this financial aid for Ukraine's defense and economic stability. The G7's united support demonstrates a strong stance against Russian aggression, which could have implications for global politics and economic stability. This aid may strengthen Ukraine's resilience but could also raise tensions with Russia.
U.S. troops continue mission in Syria. U.S. troops will remain in Syria to help fight terrorism. John Feiner, the U.S. Deputy National Security Advisor, shared this news during an interview at the Reuters Next conference in New York. The military presence aims to stabilize the region after the fall of President Bashar al-Assad, who ruled Syria for over 50 years. The Syrian civil war began in 2011 and has led to significant instability and humanitarian emergencies. The Islamic State established a caliphate in 2014 but was largely defeated by a U.S.-led coalition by 2019. The ongoing presence of U.S. military personnel is intended to prevent further issues in Syria, which remains uncertain under new leadership. As the situation develops, U.S. involvement continues to affect local communities and international relations in the Middle East.
Goldman Sachs CEO predicts strong dealmaking in 2025. David Solomon, the chief executive officer of Goldman Sachs, predicts that dealmaking, which includes major financial negotiations, could surpass the average levels we've seen over the past decade in 2025. This optimistic outlook follows the election victory of former President Donald Trump, leading bankers to anticipate a government focused on growth. Solomon highlights that the first 100 days of new policies will provide crucial insights into trade, immigration, energy, and tax matters. Goldman Sachs has made a strong comeback in investment banking, reinforcing its position as a leader in advising on mergers, where companies combine, and acquisitions, where one company buys another. Recently, Kellanova, the maker of Cheez-It snacks, agreed to be acquired by Mars for nearly $36 billion. Solomon is confident that we will see an increase in strategic deals, especially large mergers and acquisitions, in the upcoming year. This shift back to traditional investment banking comes after significant losses in Goldman Sachs' consumer business. Understanding these developments is essential for investors and market participants as they navigate the changing economic landscape.
Judge blocks $25 billion Kroger-Albertsons merger. A U.S. district judge in Oregon has stopped a $25 billion merger between the supermarket giants Kroger and Albertsons. This decision follows concerns from the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, about how the merger could impact competition and prices for shoppers. Judge Adrian Nelson stated that the merger would hurt consumers by reducing competition between the two companies. The FTC celebrated this ruling as a major win for shoppers. This decision may discourage other large mergers in the grocery market, encouraging competition and potentially leading to better prices and services. As a result, Kroger and Albertsons will need to explore new strategies for growth in this competitive market.
AI safety challenges at Reuters Next Conference. At the Reuters Next Conference in New York City, Elizabeth Kelly, the director of the U.S. Artificial Intelligence Safety Institute, talked about the ongoing challenges in creating protections for artificial intelligence, or AI. Policymakers are struggling with the rapid growth of AI technology and the absence of clear best practices. Kelly expressed concerns about cybersecurity and how easily security measures in AI systems can be bypassed. The U.S. AI Safety Institute, established under the Biden administration, collaborates with partners from academia, industry, and civil society to tackle these important issues. 10 countries are working together to develop compatible safety tests for AI, making these discussions crucial for ensuring that AI technologies are safe and effective. With upcoming political changes, particularly the potential impact of Donald Trump taking office in January, the future of AI safety initiatives could be influenced. It's essential for businesses, governments, and the public to understand these dynamics as they manage the implications of AI in their daily lives.
Closure of TikTok in Canada raises privacy issues. The Canadian government has decided to shut down TikTok's operations in Canada because of concerns over national security. Philippe Dufresne, the Privacy Commissioner of Canada, spoke to members of Parliament on December 10, 2024, highlighting the difficulties this closure creates for ongoing privacy investigations. TikTok, which is owned by the Chinese company ByteDance, filed a challenge in federal court in Vancouver on December 5, 2024, against the government's order. The investigation into TikTok's privacy practices began in 2023, focusing on possible violations of privacy laws related to younger users. This shutdown may limit access for Canadian users and could set an example for other countries considering similar actions against foreign tech companies. The effects of this decision go beyond Canada, as global concerns about data privacy and security continue to grow. This situation reflects a wider trend of scrutiny faced by technology companies regarding the protection of user data.
Trump's bipartisan immigration efforts and skepticism. President-elect Donald Trump wants to negotiate a cooperative deal to protect dreamers, young immigrants who came to the United States illegally as children. Senators like John Thune and John Cornyn recognize the need for changes in immigration policy but are doubtful because of Trump's past actions. In 2017, he attempted to end the DACA program and walked away from several compromises. The DREAM Act, introduced in 2001, aims to create a route to citizenship for dreamers. Recent discussions highlight the political challenges of immigration reform, with many Republicans seeing a path to citizenship as a pardon. The outcome of these negotiations could significantly impact millions of dreamers and shape U.S. immigration policy in the future. That is all the news for today. Thank you for listening to today's Headphone News. News summary brought to you by AI.